For years, guide users have had to choose between two types of guides. Guides that use a tour guide type of approach with a super small interface that only shows one quest goal at a time, and guides like Zygor's, which shows multiple quest goals or multiple steps at a time and offer much more detail. The trade-off was that if you wanted more detail, you had to go with a big and bulky guide interface. Customers had to choose between one or the other and couldn't have the best of both worlds. Until now. Introducing Zygor Guides version 3.0, the world's first World of Warcraft leveling guide to offer both single and multiple step views. As you can see, that's not all that's changed. Our entire guide interface has been given a sleek, intuitive, and easier to use design. Here, you see Zygor Guides version 3.0 running in the traditional primary full mode. In this mode, you can see the guide borders with the guide steps in full size showing all of the information at once. This mode is great for players who prefer a larger guide interface or who have the screen real estate to allow for a bulkier guide. Now, we'll switch the guide to our all-new secondary mode, which we like to call mini mode. Did you see that? With just the simple click of a button, the guide automatically transitioned from full mode to mini mode. Mini mode is great for players who prefer the guide to use as little screen space as possible so they can have less clutter on their screen. You can configure the guide to run in whichever mode you prefer, but what happens if you're using mini mode and want to view more information that the guide step contains? As you can see, by simply hovering your mouse on and off of the guide step, you can expand the guide step to display the full step information. Our mini mode is a cool feature, but we didn't just settle for a generic imitation of tour guide, which others have done. We've given it that extra polish and finesse you've come to expect from Zygor guides. One huge limitation that has plagued tour guide style guides is the ability to see multiple quest objectives at the same time. For example, if you have several quests with goals to complete all in the same area, you're told to do the first quest objective only, all by itself. Other guides will show you only one quest goal at a time until it is completed. But most of the time, there are lots of quest goals to do at the same time. Players have been complaining about this restriction for years. Other guide vendors didn't bother to hear your voices. Zygor did. With Zygor's mini mode, you're shown all the quest objectives you need to do at a single location all at once, without having to sacrifice the minimalist approach to the interface. As you can see, this feature is a game changer. You no longer have to go with an inferior guide company just to get the viewer you prefer. You can go with Zygor, the most trusted brand name in World of Warcraft guides. Even if you've already purchased other tour guide style guides from other guide vendors, you can easily transition to Zygor without having to learn things all over again. Levels 1 through 60 have been begging for an improvement, and now it's finally here. Everything you knew about the World of Warcraft level 1 through 60 experience is now useless. It's sort of scary, but still exciting at the same time, isn't it? It's a brand new world with new adventures, fresh for you to enjoy. Don't worry though. You'll be zipping through the levels without any of the headaches of learning new content. You'll be able to just soak in the new storylines and scenery while your Zygor guide leads you step by step through what you need to do. We've gone through all of the new 1 through 60 content and created brand new guides for the new Cataclysm changes. The new Azeroth is so much more different than the old Kalimdor and Eastern Kingdoms of the past. You can go from level 1 all the way to level 60 without ever leaving the continent you started on. For example, if your character starts in Kalimdor, you can level all the way to level 60 without ever leaving Kalimdor until it's time to go to Outland. What this means for you is you get twice the amount of 1 through 60 guides that we used to offer. The Alliance will have a 1 through 60 guide for Eastern Kingdoms and another 1 through 60 guide for Kalimdor, and the Horde will have the same thing. So basically, we now offer 4 1 through 60 guides instead of just 2. Instead of taking shortcuts and sending your characters to travel long distances to another continent in the middle of leveling 1 through 60, here at Zygor Guides, we've taken the time to create the guides you deserve to be playing with. After all, in-game guides for World of Warcraft aren't cheap, so don't you think you should at least get your money's worth once you decide to purchase one? Of course you should. Our competitors will try to tell you that one continent will level you faster than the other, so they only include a guide for the fastest continent for you to use. Don't fall for that, because the fact of the matter is that's simply not true. Blizzard has been very careful to make both Kalimdor and Eastern Kingdoms level you from level 1 all the way to level 60 in the same amount of time. Other guide companies will try to make you believe that one continent is faster simply because they don't want to take the time to create full 1 through 60 guides for the other continent. So let's take a look at exactly how much game content you're going to be missing out on when you purchase a leveling guide from a guide company that doesn't go the extra mile for their customers. Here's the content covered in our competitors' guides, highlighted in red. Now let's take a look at Zygor guides. Zygor guides covers all the content highlighted in blue. When you look at it this way, you're missing out on a ton of game content by not using Zygor guides. Why purchase from a guide company that will only give you about half of the game for almost the exact same price? That doesn't make any sense. You'll want to go through the new Cataclysm content naturally, the way Blizzard intended it to be played. Your entire goal is to create a maximum fun and satisfying gaming experience, right? Well, that's what we're all about at Zygor Guides, supplying you with guides that will create the absolute best gaming experience for you to enjoy. Anything less than that isn't worth it. So, make the right choice. Purchase your copies of Zygor Guides now. Don't think, just play, and maximize your fun and never look back.